Hey guys, this is Nicole Papastavrou from Kallias, and you're listening to Interview Under Fire. So I know it's been a while. I feel like it's been almost 2 years, maybe like a year and a half, actually. Almost 2 years since our last interview.
Man, I feel like we should have done at least 2 more of these.
Man.
I don't know why it took us like almost 2 years to do this again. And I've been following everything that you guys have been doing. I mean, since it all started. Like it's really cool to see like the reception, especially as of recent. I mean, you guys have obviously, you guys just dropped this banger of this track, The Dark Machine, yesterday, which is, I believe, the third single off of your upcoming record. I do want to begin by commending you on all the well-deserved recognition this has been getting so far. By the way, shout out to Metal Injection. They premiered that. You've seen it, the YouTube praise from like all these new fans that are quickly building and discovering your music, including your appearance on No Cover, which we'll get to. I know that opened up a lot of exposure for the fans out there, but yeah, there's just so much to unpack about all this. It's like I feel like we're friends at this point, because this is like, we can just make it like relax and everything, but catching up on where we almost left back on it in 2020. It feels like a different lifetime ago, almost,
I know.
I'm looking back at that time and everything we discussed, obviously, this podcast is going to be on all streams, including YouTube, but how are you, Nicole? I don't even ask you. We're about like 10 minutes into this, but have you had the chance to just, exhale, since I feel like you guys have been on this like breakneck pace since we left off in 2020, and it's really cool to see, though. It's a really good thing to see that you guys have been building this audience, is building this momentum, and I feel like it's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's been quite the wild ride. I mean, especially the last couple years, because I had no idea like any of this was going to happen. Had no idea we were going to have vocals in the band.
We discussed about this too, so I remember that.
The No Cover thing was kind of a surprise too, and being on that, we didn't even know when it was going to air, so like everything just kind of started happening in the last couple months, which really worked out in our favor, because we just released these 2 new singles, Disembodied Existence, The Dark Machine. We just wrapped the record, so yeah, a lot going on. I feel like this last week or two, I've just been like a chicken running around with its head cut off, trying to get ready for the releases and like the string of shows that we have next week. It's been pretty crazy.
And I know you guys are about to start, and that tour, by the way, the Violent Summer Tour, where you tour along, I believe, along the East Coast, starting in Philly. I think it's 5 days. I don't know if there's any more dates after that, but it's
one of the dates got canceled, unfortunately, so we're down to 4 dates at this point. So just a quick little stringer.
Man, I wish if I would have had the time, I would have brought you guys here to Dallas, because there's so many venues that I know the owners of. And we got to get that going, though.
Hopefully I would love to do like just a Texas run.
Man, you would have a blast here. And how is the anticipation been, Nicole, like leading up to this? I know it's like, are you excited? I know it's been like
excited
with its head cut off, but it's like let's use this podcast as like a therapy session, right? Like, it's just like for like both of us at least, like it's just for me, it's always more than just an interview, because it's always about getting the authenticity within my guest. And
absolutely, touring, I appreciate that.
And touring is, I asked you this 2 years ago, if you had a newfound appreciation for touring. You told me yes. Do you feel the same way now? You're about to take the stage again. It's just like, I remember I would ask some guests of mine, Vogue from Decapitated, for example. He was on my show recently, and I asked him, was it kind of exhilarating, like coming back on the stage and you like having to look around and say, okay, this is stage right, this is stage left, I got to do this, okay, Rasta, you stand over there, something like that. They kind of just coordinate and kind of have to build themselves up. Okay, I remember doing this again. It's like, has that synced in, or is this kind of just picking up where you left off
Well,
before 2020, I suppose? I know you
It
guys have,
really
yeah,
did, I guess, when we technically played our first show as a band last winter, or it was in October, I think.
yeah, okay.
So that's when everything really sunk in, where, we played that show and got off stage, and like I just felt so heavy with emotion. Like I
Hmm.
was trying not to cry because I just felt like, it had been so long since I'd played a show. And then we started, this new project, and all of our first shows at the beginning of the pandemic got canceled. So we had to wait
Hmm.
that long to even like play like our first show ever as a band, not including like the performance we did on No Cover, because that was technically the first live performance.
Yeah.
So, after playing, the first show, hometown here at Dingbats, it was really, really awesome. We packed out the place with a bunch of our friends' bands and everything. So it really did feel like that hometown, like first welcome show. I was just so, so happy and like emotional after that. Cause I'm like, this is like this is what I'm supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
like this is what I should have been like doing like the last few years. But of course, it's not just me, like everybody was set back for a couple years there. So now I'm just like so ready to get back out there again, with my guys, and just perform, and try to grab some new fans at these like cities that we've never been before, and just kind of start building that
Yeah.
live audience.
Man, can someone bring this girl some coffee? Like, I'm feeling I'm about to like Uber Eats you some. Like, please give me your address because you need time to like digress and take all this in, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I
you know,
know.
it's really cool to see everything that you're telling me, and I promise we'll get to no cover because I have a whole segment about that. Now I one of the first questions I asked you on that last time we spoke, which let's make sure 2 years don't go by again before we do this because
I
I
know.
feel like we need our own podcast at this point. Because I know we've been like staying in touch, over the socials the
Yeah.
last couple of years. It's really cool to it was really cool to stay in touch and just see you guys grow again. I don't mean it's like a broken record, but I love Kallias. Like I love the concept behind it. I love what you guys have been doing since you guys first met, since the Nom days. I mean, you, Zachy, JP, and Chris. I
Yeah.
mean, you've come a long way. I know it's been a couple of years, but I feel like you guys come a long way. I mean, everything feels like it went by in a blink. Do you ever think about like that time in your life now? It's like I feel like we've had a chance to reflect a lot in the last 2 years. It's like, huh, that day in Nam,
Yeah.
when I just wanted to find a drummer, and
Pretty much. Yeah. I was
it's
just looking for a drummer, and then he happened to be jamming with an 8 string guitar player. So I'm like, oh, how convenient.
and then of course with your work with We Start Wars, Meridium, and
Mhm.
Ira Hayes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like really digging into my
Really digging back.
my database here, but it's like how often do you look back on those times in your life? You've been touring since you were 18, Nicole. It's not an
Yeah.
easy thing to do. And here you are, because whether we like it or not, past experiences have shaped us into who we are today. I've had my experiences. I didn't know I was going to be doing this, you know, 3-4 years ago, and here I am. It's something that I love doing. It's like music videos, like shows that you've done. Like, do you ever look
Yes.
back on like certain times, like,
Yeah.
man, what was I thinking? Something like that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like every like band that I played for, and like every like tour that I did back in the day, like I mean, really, I think I took the longest hiatus from touring basically,
Hmm.
because like I really haven't toured in like 10 years. Like I've played shows and stuff, but as far as like actually doing like full tours,
Yeah.
like I haven't toured in that long, because like, the projects I was in never really got to that point. So, fast forward to today, where I feel like, I'm finally like on the same page with everyone. And, although like I don't think this is going to be like a full-time touring band, I am super psyched to get back on the road and just kind of like do these legs like here and there when we can. And,
Hmm.
most importantly, like put out this record that we've been working on since we met. So it's been a long time in the making.
So both of my brothers are teachers. I don't know if I told you that. So, and they are both musicians. We're all, well, I come from a music family, so we all play instruments, and they would tour. And I would ask them this question sometimes. So it's like, were you made for the touring life, you know? And then my brother got to thinking, it's like, you know what? It's like, I have this anxiety when I'm touring. Like he would answer me like that, and he would love the experience, but it's like like I wouldn't be made for the touring life, you know? It's
Mm.
like maybe a couple days here and there. And but these bands, they would go on these 90-day touring cycles. I don't know how they do it, but it's like the
Yeah.
touring life is a whole different lifestyle, and that was taken away from a lot of people in the last two
Yeah.
years. And I would ask my brother this, and he's like, man, I don't know if I would love to go touring, but not like for a long extended period of time. So I don't know if it's the same way with you guys. It's because there's a lot of stressful, moments when it comes to touring, especially the first day on tour, just making sure everything's on set, you know.
Oh yeah. I mean, it
So
usually takes like a week before everything is like really dialed the way you
mhm.
want it to be, and you're just super locked in with everyone. I mean, that's what I remember when I was touring full time, and it's like 4, 5, 6 week tours, and I did do the 3 month tour once.
How was that?
Like that was crazy. It was like, wow, I'm about to like leave home for like 3 months and be in like all these different countries. You just kind of
Yeah.
get used to like, a certain lifestyle, and, sleeping in the back of a van, and then when you get home, like it's kind of weird because everything is still and like you don't really know what to do with yourself. So
Hmm.
that's kind of like how I felt when I would come home from tours. I'd be like, okay, now what? Like I got to start booking the next one, you know?
Yeah, it's do
So
you also get a sense of it's like almost a I don't know if this is the right word for it, like post tour depression.
oh
Like
yeah,
it's like
that's very real.
man, you're sitting in your living room and you have a dog next to you, and it's just like it's like when you come back from a huge event, like a huge like experience, and it's just you look back on that, it's like, man, I yeah, I want to do this again.
Yeah, that
And
happened. Now, like, what do I do with that?
I feel like the excitement leading up to the event is more exciting than the actual event. Do you feel the same way, or is it just
Yeah, I
me?
mean, they say it's all about like the journey and the
Yeah.
process, right? Not about like getting there and getting it done, but it's just like the like all the work that really goes into it, especially like, for independent bands.
Hmm.
So, and then of course, like that's where I'm at now. Like we're an independent band. So, for example, like this East Coast run was really supposed to be like 7 shows.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
for the last like 6 months, I can't even tell you how much of a nightmare it's been,
Hmm.
like trying to actually book these shows a year after, COVID, and all these other tours got canceled and shows got canceled and all these venues are like overbooked. So actually trying to like get these shows was extremely difficult. So, it's just so many emails that go out, and really just having to like knock down doors to just fucking play at a venue.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm like, wow, this is not like how it was like 10 years ago. And it's even worse now because, I still consider us a newer band, even though we've been a band for like 3 years. It's just a huge setback with the pandemic, especially being a newer artist, but then like trying to break through as a newer artist in like an oversaturated market when everyone's trying to tour and play shows and get their music out, trying to make up for this time lost, over the
Yeah.
pandemic. So it's like you're fighting for people to just listen to your song or book your band, and that's just kind of how it's been. So I'm just kind of trying to be positive, like, hey, we got 4 shows out of this. One of them got canceled. It was supposed to be 5, and like we're just gonna fucking kill it no matter what.
Yeah. I
So
mean, and that's the best attitude you got to have towards it,
yeah.
and it's you really have a passion for what you do, Nicole, and it's I feel like we've somehow aged 2 years, and it's
Yeah.
that's a crazy thing to see, and I feel like we've grown also, a lot of things that happened during the pandemic. And, I know when we spoke last, I didn't get a chance to ask you this last time because this is a big part of who you are is I want to talk about freaking Justin McKinney because he's part of Zenith Passage,
Oh,
and I freaking love that band. So Justin, if anyone doesn't know, that's your partner in life,
yes.
and shout out to him because he's responsible, and I didn't realize this, but I've seen Justin live with the Faceless a couple of times. He's responsible for releasing one of my favorite records to ever come out in progressive death metal. I believe it was Autotheism. Is that the one?
No, he was
The
on
it
In
was he was
Becoming a Ghost.
That's what that was. Yeah, sorry. In Becoming a Ghost. Holy shit,
Yeah,
that came out in the fall of 2017, if I'm not
17.
mistaken.
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm really reaching down right now. So it's like my dad, if it's great, but man, having someone like Justin around, Nicole, like, who also shares a similar passion into, what you have molded, does that make the experience in doing what you do much more meaningful? If that's the way to put
Yeah,
it.
that's an interesting way to put
This
it.
is the Justin appreciation segment.
Yeah, more meaningful, but also the biggest thing that I tell everybody, and I make sure to remind him all the time too, is that he's really just been the biggest musical inspiration, like, every day,
Yeah.
and just kind of like learning about his process and seeing how he writes and how he records, and just how much time he spends on just like on details that would, like, drive the average person crazy, that he takes the time to do, to create like this music that he's making, has just been so inspiring, and I feel like I've just learned so much from him in the last couple years, um, that's like improved so many aspects of my life as a musician. So like I do
Yeah.
have to thank him for that, because I feel like he kind of made me realize like that next level, that like I could take my music and my playing and my practicing and the way I record, to make things just sound like really clean and tight. It's awesome. That's why like I always joke around and call him like my life tech,
Yeah.
but I'm really
It's
not joking, because he teched the fuck out of my life.
and in a good way, right? And I feel like
Yes, in a good way.
he
Yeah.
pushed you to become a almost like a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
It's like you found someone who not only is your life partner, but who also you love, but also it shares that passion. It's like, all right, it's like the perfect match,
Yeah.
and I love the work that he's done with the Zenith Passage. I feel like they just finished up a touring cycle, did they not? With
They hopped on a leg of the Rivers and Nile tour.
yeah,
So they did 4 of the California dates. And
man,
I was on, yeah.
I wish they would have been, because so Rivers has been on my show a couple of times, and
Oh,
they're good buddies of mine. I absolutely love that band as well. But
yeah,
man, if
me too.
you got so they were here in Dallas with also shout out. We're doing a lot of shout out to Kyle from what's the band?
Oh,
Tell me.
archaeologists,
Yeah, archaeologist, but he's also with
Fallujah.
yeah, gosh, what is wrong with me today?
Yeah.
Usually I'm really good with this stuff, but I got to meet Kyle in Dallas. What a
Kyle's
great
awesome.
humble guy, man. I know he's new to the
Yes,
band,
I
but
love Kyle.
first thing I told him was I could not stop like looking at him on stage, because the I feel like that's what, a band like Fallujah has been missing all this time. I've been following Fallujah for a long time, and I thought Kyle was absolutely amazing, and he was so humble about it.
Yeah.
And I wish the Zenith Passage was on that tour. They came to Dallas, and it was a great turnout. It was like on a middle of a week of the week, and people were just packed that venue and
Yeah,
amplified.
they wished they were on the whole thing. I think like that was like kind of difficult for Justin, after not touring
Mm-hmm.
for a few years, and then like basically just getting a teaser, going on the road for 4 days with all your friends, because those are like all his homies, the Rivers dudes and
Yeah.
Fallujah and everything. And then you have to like go home after 4 days. It's just like it kind of is depressing. Like I get it. And I kind of saw that,
Was
when we went home, because I went to all those shows except for
yeah.
the Fresno date, and did video for
Was that
them.
his like first show that he played, like post pandemic, sort of?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. And
Yeah. It was their
yeah,
first show back,
man.
so
Now, as far as the Zenith Passage and Kallias touring, as far as like you guys going together, is that something that we can see in the foreseeable future? I don't know what you can and cannot say, but I don't know if it's too
We've
early to
been
tell.
talking about it, and
Yeah.
we're trying to figure it out.
Oh, please stay in
So
touch with me on
yeah,
that. I will help you book shows down here. Okay.
yeah, it's funny you mentioned
If
that too,
Texas is
because
in the works.
yeah, Justin was just talking about a Texas run too. And like we were talking about, Abigail Williams and everything. And, because he's like really good
Oh
friends with
man.
Ken and all that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, please let's make this happen.
Man, Abigail Williams. So now you're really reaching into my time machine here, because I met Ken back in 2012 when he was with Abigail Williams. This is in Tomcats West. This is a small venue out in Fort Worth. I call Fort Worth the upside down of Dallas. That's just me, because Fort Worth and Dallas are very similar, and they're like
Yeah.
about 30 minutes or 15 minutes from each other, but they're like the downtown aspects look very different. But Ken was there, and I don't even think he knows, but we had a birthday shot for someone that day, and I bought him a shot, and we were just, Ken was such a great dude, and they killed it, obviously, Abigail Williams. But I don't know if they're still doing shows, Abigail Williams, but
Oh yeah,
but now
they
it's
went
like,
on tour.
now you see what I'm saying? You guys, now you have this idea built up with you,
Yeah,
Z,
we do.
Abigail.
We've
It's
been
like,
talking about it, but they're great. We just saw them on their last tour.
hmm,
It was like a few weeks ago with Borknagar and Vale of Noth. So
yeah,
he sings in Vale of Noth too, and I shot some video for them like at the Borknagar show,
that's
which I
so
was like
cool.
so excited to see Borknagar too. So
That is so
yeah, that
cool.
was like the week before the Zenith run.
And I'm gonna switch gears here, Nicole, because I want to ask about your trip to Greece. I know you're Greek,
Oh yeah.
where you're from. But tell me about your trip, about that, because I saw the Instagram posts and like the stories, but I don't think you've had a chance to talk about it that much. But how was the
Yeah.
trip? I know you went with Justin, I believe, but
Yeah,
I mean,
last
one of
year
my
I went
best
with
friends is in
Justin.
Greece right now as we speak. So she's she's going through like all like I think she's on like the fifth day over a tour, but she's like, and
Amazing.
I'm like, I need to ask Nicole about Greece, but go ahead.
Yes, I go every year. That's kind of like
Awesome.
my go-to, just because like I mean, that's my other home, right? I speak the language and I love the food and I it's always like a climbing trip, right?
Hmm.
Too. So I have like my climbing spots that I go to. I always go to up in the mountains. It's a little town called Madeira,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like there's all these monasteries that sit on these huge like spires, and
Yeah.
back in the day the monks actually had to climb these spires like without ropes or anything and bring everything up there to build these monasteries. So there's so many of them, and all the ones that don't have monasteries on them are actually like open to climbers. So it's become a really big climbing destination. Um, you know, not super big, but like a lot of people don't really know about it. But the people that do, I feel like consistently go back because it's just such a peaceful and like beautiful place. I mean, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site as
Hmm.
well. And that's just kind of like my one of my happiest places on earth is there in Madeira.
Yeah. So I don't know
It's
if
like
you're
5 hours north of
yeah.
Athens.
I don't know if you're a sentimental person like me, but I always keep like little memorabilias from my trips. I know you're in the studio, but I was gonna ask, like, if you do you keep anything with you from those trips? Like, is there something that is really meaningful to you, that hold on to something like, or you just, or not,
Usually, usually no. I'm actually not really a collector of things. And I guess that's because I've
I still
just
keep my
moved.
Blockbuster receipts from like the 90s.
Oh my God.
I'm
That's
crazy
like
like that.
that's like my sister. She has like a whole like dresser of receipts that
Believe it
she
or not, we have a backpack. So that I bought, that my parents bought me, right? It was a backpack. I don't use it anymore. But
uh
in that backpack, I think it's a Dallas Cowboys backpack. I don't even like the Cowboys. I like the Giants. So whatever. Anyway, the point is my brothers would come visit, every summer, and we would just stuff that backpack with just things that reminded us of a certain visit that we did. And it just,
oh
and sometimes we would even write it in our journals what we did. Like, we don't do it anymore as much as we use it, because now we have like Instagram and Facebook. It saves all our memories there digitally.
Yeah.
but it's just huge. It's just packed with like just some of the random shit you'll find. My yearbook from like 2007's in there. You know, I don't know why I left it in
Oh
there,
my
but it's just,
God.
it's something that we would do. But
Yeah, I guess
your
like
sister
back.
does. I don't think she goes. I don't know. I think I'm the only person who does it that way. I don't think you probably think I'm crazy. You feel like
No,
receipt.
yeah, like I said, my sister is a big collector of things. So like I've been around that my whole life.
Yeah,
So I'm like the opposite. Like I don't like to have a lot of stuff because
yeah.
I'm just so used to being mobile and moving around and never having like a permanent home. And so, just more stuff means like, oh, there's just like little thing that I got to put somewhere and then move with me like somewhere else. And like I used to collect like little rocks that I would get from like all around the world.
That's cool.
And then that collection got too big and then I forgot where the hell all the rocks were from. So I think I just like left them somewhere one day and I'm like, I don't think I need
So
to
your
keep.
box of rocks is somewhere. You just don't know where it is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. I think I just like
Yeah.
abandoned it one day. I'm just like, it doesn't have as much meaning anymore because I collected so many of them that I'm just like, what do I even do with this right now? Like, why am I don't know. Like I go every time like I move or
Yeah.
something, I'm like, I don't need this. Like, why do I have this?
Yeah.
So
That's
the
always a
only thing that I've really collected is gear. And like I
yeah.
rarely get rid of gear. So, I
Well,
have like
yeah, yeah,
all
of course. And just
yeah,
like
that's
little things like I like the and I mean like detailed receipts. Like I like renting a D3 the Mighty Ducks for example, and it would be on the
oh my
receipt on
God.
like July of like 1998,
You should just make
Blockbuster.
a scrapbook of receipts.
That's a great idea actually. I'm seeing my brother
Yeah, instead
tomorrow.
of
He's
them being
actually
like in bags or something somewhere, it should be like
do
like
you
a
remember
chronological scrapbook of receipts.
and then Pogs, do you remember those? Like you get
I
like the
remember the
slammer and
pogs. Yeah.
I thought it was the most dumbest thing, and now I'm like thinking like, why did I get rid of those? Because I used to
People
have
would
those.
collect like the slammers and stuff like that. No,
Yeah,
I
that
remember too, like when I was a kid, like we would collect the Beanie Babies and stuff.
and the Furbies.
Oh, I didn't
Do you
have one of
remember
those.
Furbies? Like I remember
I yeah,
in
I think I
McDonald's they would
didn't
have
like
those.
those. I
Yeah,
think
the
I didn't
fur.
like them because they reminded me of like gremlins. And when I was a kid, I used to be afraid of gremlins.
So one thing I collected was so I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Like it's I feel like if
Oh,
if you get me started, you won't get me you won't stop me. So I'll try to contain as much as I can. But episode one was coming out in '99, right? And Mountain Dew. I don't drink soda anymore, but Mountain Dew, like when I was younger, I used to drink. I was off the wazoo. Just I would just drink Mountain Dew like it was like a part of my diet at that point.
addicted.
And
Yeah.
they would release the cans and they would have the characters on these cans and you would have to collect them. The problem is you have to buy like a new pack every time and they had like 12 packs. So I would push my mom to like drive me to like a Walmart or like the nearest gas station and I would just buy a pack of Mountain Dew with my allowance. And she's
Oh
like,
my
what the hell are you doing? Like, you're not going to drink all that. No, put it back. So I would just collect Mountain Dew cans that had the Star Wars characters. It was so dumb. But
oh
it's
my
like, if you
God.
look at it now, people have collected them and it actually looks amazing. But
A true
now,
collector.
it's like, see, I don't do that much anymore. Like, as far as collecting things these days, I think I'm just like you. I don't really collect anything anymore. Like, as I don't do the receipt thing anymore because everything, like literally everything is saved digitally. You don't have to.
Digitally, yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing or but it's just like I still buy movies and records that's sitting in the corner of my room because I'm
Oh,
still old
nice.
fashioned like that. But also I know that you do Twitch as well.
Yeah.
Did you do Twitch in 2020? I can't remember if we went over this, but I
No,
know.
I
But
actually just started last year in August.
so how has that been? How has it been going okay? Like, was it kind of nerve-wracking when you first started? Because,
It
obviously
was,
I remember I had Joe from Fit for an Autopsy, and shout out to Joe,
mhm.
another shout out, great dude.
Yeah.
Actually, he was on a couple times. He was talking about Twitch and how he gaming, and that's a very, a popular topic of discussion amongst, music artists. They would do gaming and then they would also stream their, whatever they do on their instruments musically.
Mhm.
And that was like a good 1-2 punch for each of the musicians. But, Nicole, with Twitch, if you want to plug in your handle for everyone on here as well, because I know it's something that you do a lot?
Yeah, of course. It's my handle is just my first and last name.
Okay, Nicole
Yeah.
Papastavrou. Got it.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
Nicole Papastavrou, Twitch. And yeah, I started last summer in August.
Hmm.
And I really think Twitch kind of saved a lot of musicians' asses during the
Sure did.
pandemic.
It sure did.
You know,
Yeah.
it was another avenue of not just a little bit of revenue, but just a way to perform digitally for more of your fans, and then find new ones and just be discovered on Twitch in general. So, for the longest time, Justin was like pushing me to start streaming, and I just never thought like that I would be this kind of streaming type. I'm like, I don't know, if I really have the personality for that. I'm kind of like a quiet person, and I wouldn't really know what to say to people. Like, I don't know on the internet, and
Can I
I
tell you
thought it was
something?
kind of weird.
So here's the thing. So obviously with our discussions, you and me, when every time we speak, it's always good energy. When I'm
Yeah.
like away from my, interview in a fire family, the music family, I am reserved. Like I'm like if you find me in public, you probably yeah, you'll see my long hair, you'll see like my facial features, but I'm very quiet, very reserved. It's not like this. Is that weird sometimes? Like like we're talking right now, and it's like
Yeah.
I remember you exactly when I spoke to you last time, but it's
Mm.
like once we step away from our, platform, it's like, okay, whew, I get to,
Yeah, and I feel like
exhale.
there's nothing really wrong with that. You
Hmm.
can still be like and kind of an introvert, on your own or in general, but then you could still be like a really personable
Hmm.
person, like when you're one-on-one or when you're with your close friends and whatnot. I'm definitely not like the loudest one in the crowd. Like, let's just say that. Like, my family calls me the mouse for a reason. Because
Real
usually
quick, out of you four, you, Zachy, JP, and Chris, who's the most serious and who's the funniest? I guess who's like the one that out of you four is
I would say JP is kind of like the clown in the
okay,
band
okay.
because he is just so quick-witted and just says stuff at the drop of a hat sometimes where I want to like spit out my drink. I'm just like how do you just come up with this stuff, So you can always count on JP with like the one-liners that will just like make you laugh. Um, I think actually probably the most reserved person is Zachy, I think.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
you were gonna say his name because Zachy.
Yeah.
Every time I see Zachy, he reminds me of like a high school friend I went to high school a friend I went to high school with, and it's like, and I really love that about about him. He's also very humble. I feel like, and
He
again,
is. And like
insanely talented. Holy shit! Like
yeah, he's one of those people that's like, like quiet, but then when you get in a conversation with him, like you can get in like a really deep and conversation with him,
yeah,
not just like surface level stuff. Like,
yeah.
he will really go into like the details of like how he's doing something or like something that has inspired him or whatever. Like, he's just one of those like deep thinkers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know we were talking about Twitch. We kind of veered off into this subject, but
Yeah.
I think it's important though because with you, Zachy, and I'll put myself in here too as well because it's like, yeah, we're quiet and reserved, but when we're actually in our element, it's like we let off so much stress, so much steam. Like maybe we've kind of just held that inside, because it's like,
Yeah.
we're humans, I feel like
Mhm.
mental health is a big part about, you know, I mean, I know I'm no stranger to it. This is a release for me getting the chance
It
to speak with
is.
you and Zachy. I feel like he does not get enough recognition. Like his riffs, like the stuff that he comes up with. I'm like, how the hell is not there not like a metal injection article on just him, or
I
Revolver?
know.
Like and by the way, next time bring him on because I want him to talk about all stuff, Zachy, because I feel like he needs
Yeah, I wish he could have been here, but he's at actually a Cirque du Soleil concert with his
Oh,
girlfriend right now.
okay. That's priorities. That's priorities.
So
All right.
yeah,
Shout out to
otherwise,
Zach.
like, I would have like invited him to be on with me, and
Yeah.
I was actually planning on asking you to have him with me,
Of
And then
course.
he told me
Yeah.
yesterday, he's like, oh yeah, I gotta go to the Cirque du Soleil. I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's not gonna work out for
It's
the
all good. It's all good.
podcast then.
We still have everything going on, but it's of
Yeah.
course I would love to have Zachy on, whenever
Yeah.
he wants. And of course you can always reach out to me whenever you want to do that down the road.
Awesome.
But
Yeah. Good to know.
but for Twitch, that was the topic of discussion.
Yeah.
It's good to see that you've been building an audience, right? Since last
Yeah. And
summer.
Twitch has like really been great because it kind of took me out of that comfort zone and like, I guess performing on a more personal level,
Mm-hmm.
because it really does feel like you're kind of like in a room with a bunch of your fans and friends, and then just like some random people that are just kind of watching you and not saying anything either. But what's awesome is that the community that I've built and that a lot of artists have built on Twitch just become like your people, and you get to know them like on a more personal level. They start to get to know each other, people start making friends with each other, and it's been the most awesome and supportive community that I've ever had, digitally, because I feel like things can just be so feel really disconnected through like Instagram
Mm-hmm.
or YouTube, because you're just kind of like putting all this work into creating a piece of content, and then you're just like posting it, and then you're like, all right, well, who's gonna like it? Or just like people comment something, and it's very like one way. It just doesn't feel as authentic to me, and I've never felt like, oh, I gotta like spill all this stuff about my personal life on my feed to try and seem more relatable and personable with people, and be just commenting back and forth. Like it just didn't really seem very authentic to me. But doing Twitch was kind of a turning point, because I feel like, oh, I'm actually like, I'm talking to these people in a live setting. I'm answering their questions as they're asking me. And we're just having a conversation in a room. And then I happen to be playing, some of my songs or like some covers. And, we're talking about other things too, like other than music. And it just feels more real. You know what I mean?
I feel like you don't accidentally end up on Twitch, people who are there or are people who want to be there, because I think the Twitch is a community that people who actually care about the product that they are coming after, and you're showing dedication to your craft, Nicole, and people are seeing that. So I think that's really cool, because in YouTube, your Instagram, Facebook, you just stumble upon something,
Yeah,
but
and it's
Twitch,
very planned out. Like, a lot of it is kind of polished content, when, on Twitch, everything is just live. And of course, naturally in the beginning, I was so nervous. I'm just like, oh, like I
what do
don't
I
feel like
do?
rehearsed enough on this song, or
Yeah.
like, what if I like fuck up and all these people are watching and they're gonna think I suck or something. And now I'm just like, I'm so much more comfortable, because I'm like, oh yeah, who cares? Like if you flub a note or like you forget part of this fucking cover or some shit, like no one really cares. Like you're kind of just having fun and like laughing it off, and really just having a good time, like, performing and actually connecting with people, digitally, but it feels like IRL, right? Because
Yeah, it
it's
does.
live and it's real, it's in the moment.
And we're thinking about joining Twitch ourselves, like when we do these podcasts, these
You
interviews.
should. You should. Oh my God. You
you
100%.
you you and like maybe like 100 other people are saying the same thing to me, like, Sonny, you
You
need to join
have to
Twitch.
you have to do it. Like
Yeah, I'm
Hallie
gonna.
Death just started doing it.
Yeah,
And
I
I,
watched
I
that
feel like they
podcast.
were
I watched
like,
that podcast too, and
we're like,
those.
oh, we should have done this like so like a while ago. And I'm like, yeah, because then you have people watching in real time and having their own conversation. And then you're kind of like killing two birds with one stone. You're still recording
Yeah,
everything.
very
And then
true.
you're
And
still going to upload it again later to wherever you upload your podcast to. So it's just another outlet for people to discover the podcast and then watch it live. And then there's live commentary on it too.
you're gonna be my first guest on there. I've done maybe
Oh.
I've done maybe 500 interviews. Like it's and you know, it's I gotta look into this because it
Yeah,
is something that I've pitched.
absolutely.
Okay, I pitched this idea like to my teammates, and they're like, "Yeah, we should definitely look into it." Now it's like I feel like you're like the last like person to like push. Like now it's like I'm getting this perspective from you, and I mean you brought some really good points, some beneficial to the artist, not only the artist but even to ourselves, to our outlet. So,
Mhm.
um,
Thank
but
you.
it's really but Twitch is definitely now I got to think of like a username or something to you know
I
all this
mean,
stuff. It's gonna be really cool. Like when I get a chance to sit down, it's like, oh my gosh, you may get a DM for me, be like, can you help me? Something like that. Just a heads up. So
yeah. Twitch, I'm gonna tell you, like when you first start streaming, there's
yeah,
just so many like little technical things that it was kind of a nightmare for me in the beginning because I don't feel like I'm the best like person with computers and like routing and troubleshooting when it comes to that kind of stuff. So for me personally, it was kind of a nightmare. And Justin helped me set everything up and kind of taught me how everything worked. So now like when I do have an issue, I kind of like know like the steps to take to just troubleshoot things and figure out
yeah,
what's wrong. But everybody that streams will probably tell you the same thing. There's just so many little things that you have to like consider and just so many things that can go wrong. So, and the only way you're going to find out is when they go wrong, and then you got to figure out how to fix them. So,
hey, that's a good thing too. If you gotta build up to where you're at. Like if you don't make mistakes, I feel like you don't learn. So that's
oh,
a really cool thing.
absolutely.
So you're
Mhm.
gonna be my like first endorser on that. So we'll I'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, it'd be great. I mean, like I also like earlier this year I did a fundraiser on Twitch for one of the people
yes,
that's on my Twitch channel all the time.
yeah. I remember this too.
Yeah, I did it
I
for
think I donated. I'm not. I can't remember.
Murdog Fest,
Yeah,
and it was
I
for
remember that.
yeah, it was for Murray from Severed Savior. And he's been such a big supporter to the metal community on Twitch. So I kind of wanted to do something to give back a little bit. And so I asked him, I'm like, oh, is there like a charity or like research that you would, like
Hmm.
to, for me to, build a lineup and donate to like a really good cause. And then he said, yeah, for diabetes research. So I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
I'm
what
like,
that
I feel like
was.
that's
Yep.
really relatable. And so I had, a couple friends help me pick the right foundation. And, someone that really helped me with it was Matt from Shades of Black, because he's also a type 1 diabetic as
Yeah.
well. And so he told me, oh, you should do it for DRI, Diabetes Research Institute. So I set everything up. I had my manager at Twitch help me set up like the Tiltify the account so that all the money funnels through that and just goes directly to DRI.
Yeah.
And got a really, really cool lineup. I mean, Josh Travis was on it, Scott Carstairs, Justin was there, Max from Anomalous, so many awesome people, Mega Mike drummer. Like, I can't even shout out everyone because it was just such an awesome lineup. And we ended up raising over $5,000 in a day,
That's
and
so
this is
rad.
from
Yeah.
like the death metal community. So who would have thought, right? It was my
Yeah,
first one that I
I did
did.
remember.
And
I donated like $10. I remember that. It wasn't
yeah,
much, but
and DRI found out about it, and like they contacted me, and they like ended up putting me in their newsletter or something, which I didn't even contact them to say that I was doing anything. We were just doing it.
man,
So it
that's
was cool that they found out, and they were super stoked about that, because a lot of people do fundraisers and whatnot on Twitch. And
mhm.
um, I think they didn't realize like the kind of impact that our small like death metal community could have. So that was really awesome. I'm so happy
It
that
also gives you exposure to the community. So, like you just said, I think that's a
Mhm.
really cool thing to see. And my grandma had diabetes, and my mom is pre-diabetic. So, and my cousin also has diabetes. So that runs in my family. So
Yeah.
I remember I was seeing that, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is something that I want to give attention to. And
Mhm.
now I know speaking of like endorsements, right? I know again, last time I spoke to you, you had you last summer, actually, let me reset because I spoke to you about your endorsement with Jackson Guitars last
Yeah.
summer. Tell me about your custom Jackson, Nicole, because
Oh,
about a
yeah.
year after you joined the family, for people who don't know, she's endorsed by Jackson, Marty Freeman, Phil Demmel, Gus G, Scotty and Jeff Loomis. I mean, that list goes on and on. That was a huge step for you in your career. And
Yeah, it
since then,
was.
yeah, since then you released that video of your Jackson guitar last summer. Did you have plans for a custom guitar when you first joined Jackson, or was that
Absolutely.
something that developed later? Okay. Yeah.
No, that was like the first plan for when I even joined Jackson.
Do you
Because I
have
was
it?
with
Do you have it
EVH
with you?
before. Huh?
Do you have it with you anywhere?
I do, yeah. Can you
I was
grab it?
I was gonna ask you to grab it, but I don't know if it was because you're in the studio. So
Yeah, it's actually right next door. I can
I
totally
want to
grab
see it.
it. Just a
Yeah.
sec.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
There it
Yeah.
is. I'm like texting my team, like we should create a Twitch right now. I'm texting
Oh
them.
yeah, you do. Like
All
you
right.
should have done that like
Yeah.
yesterday.
That's what I'm saying. We should have created a Twitch like yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna let them know. All right, that is sick. There it is. Okay. So, I'm gonna ask about that because it's an 8 string, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Is it lower or are one of the strings like higher?
No, they're two lower strings.
Two lower
So it's
strings.
like
Yeah.
just standard tuning, like a 6 string guitar. And then there's a low B and a low E. So we have two different
Yeah.
tunings in the band, and one of them is just drop E. So the low string is E, and then B, and then standard. And then our second tuning that we use is just the low E, and then it's A. So essentially, it's kind of like a double drop tuning.
Yeah.
So it's
So
E and then A. Yeah.
And so here's the thing, because I want you to educate me, because I don't play guitar. I mean, I play violin and bass, but at the bottom, towards the bottom of past your neck and towards the body of the guitar, there's a, I don't know the term, but there's like a kind of like at the, if you show me, I can actually show you what it is. You go down like to like at the end, the other end.
Oh,
Yeah, where
here.
that at the bottom. What's that called? Because that was a
Oh,
big
the
yeah.
bridge.
Yeah, is that what that was called? Because there was a big component that you mentioned about how the sound that comes out is the one you prefer specifically.
Oh, so well, there is a unique feature on this guitar. I
Yeah.
actually put a piezo pickup in it. So the
Wow.
the
Okay.
piezo pickup and preamp is actually in the bridge. So there's a knob right here where
Mm-hmm.
I can just switch to my piezo pickup, which bypasses these two DiMarzio pickups, and it comes out like it gives a very acoustic sound. So it sounds like an acoustic guitar, and you can kind of hear all the little nuances, like the finger
So
noise, everything. You can also blend both of them. So you can have a blend of the piezo with the DiMarzio pickups as well, and it'll actually be a little bit louder that way.
question, the piezo sound that you just talked about. In that video, there is an acoustic section. It says Kallias, but it's an unreleased song. I heard that. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Somewhere
Yep.
in there. And is that a song? Because I heard that line, I was like, this is amazing. Like, is this I was like looking through like your
Yeah,
discography.
it's part of an album song. It's just a little
Okay.
riff.
So it's not released yet, right?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So you see my excitement here. So
Yeah.
that's really cool to see.
Mhm.
Yeah, I always, ask about like custom, when it comes to that. Like, of course, the tools that you get with your custom guitar, you couldn't get with other guitars, right? You have specifically made for the way you
Yeah.
want it to sound. How long did that take you? You already had the specs laid out like before?
Yeah, I had most of the specs laid out, and then of course, I discussed everything with my builder at the custom shop, Joe
Mhm.
Williams, and we kind of like worked out all the details, and of course, I asked his opinions on things like, do you think this is going to work here? Or do you think these woods are going to sound good together? He's the master builder. I'm just the
Yeah.
person with like an idea of what I think it's going to sound like and like what I want it to look like too. So he kind of like makes that a reality for me and tells me like, oh, well, this is what it's actually going to do, or like this is something that I would recommend instead, or whatever. So he's been really, really awesome to work with, and him and my rep were super excited for like all the ideas that I put into this guitar, because a lot of them had never been done on a Jackson guitar before.
Really?
So all
Okay.
of this was new, like the inlaid.
I love the finishing on the neck, like just it's like looks like it was just torn from like a tree trunk and just like
Yeah,
that's
the
really cool.
fingerboard is pale moon ebony. It's actually a really rare, it's a rare wood for the fingerboard. So this was kind of
Yeah.
like the one of the hardest things to find, you know.
Wow.
So it was that, and then of course like the inlaid pick guard, the flushed pick guard.
Hmm.
So that's just a piece of ebony that's completely flush with the body.
That is
And the
so cool.
body is also one piece of wood, so it's not book matched either. It's just one
That
piece.
is so rad. Yeah, I want to give you a chance to talk about it. I know there's only one video of it, but I think it's an important piece of who you are. How much
Yeah.
of that has to do with Chimp Spanner?
Oh, the guitar?
Yeah, like I know that's one of your biggest influences, right?
Uh, None of it
Oh,
except for the
really?
fact that it's an 8 string. Yeah.
Because the sound, right? Because you want to get the sound out. So I feel like I don't know if you so no like influence or anything like that. This is just something that you just
No, yeah, I
okay.
had been designing guitars even before that, like
Oh, cool.
with
Yeah.
Luteria Rocks. That was the company I was with before. So I like already got used to specking out guitars and kind of learning about the woods and the measurements and everything. So this I essentially just, spec'd out what would be my dream guitar, because when I came on to Jackson, I already had the same rep from EVH. So the relationship was there. And, essentially why I moved there, because I'm a person that's more about, building relationships and everything.
Hmm.
And, my rep was like, he's like, oh, well, he's like, if you come to Jackson, like, we don't really have anything for you. We're going to have to build you something custom. And I'm like,
Oh,
absolutely.
hell yeah.
I'm like,
So
that's what I had in mind anyway. Like I'm kind of like a custom kind of girl,
yeah,
so
that's really cool to see. Yeah, I wanted to see that. Like, hopefully, I get to see it in person when you guys do tour. And that's
yeah,
I love that guitar. So,
yeah,
do you have a
totally.
name for that guitar? Like, have you named it?
Yeah, I didn't really like publicly name it or anything, but I just decided to call it Mati, which means eye in Greek. And I named it that because I put a mountain, like a snow-capped mountain inlay on the 12th fret.
I was gonna ask what that
And
was. Wow.
so it's a mountain made of abalone, and then it's snow-capped with mother of pearl. And then
Dude, that
coincidentally,
is sick.
yeah,
Sorry, go
coincidentally
ahead.
on the
I'm like,
wood,
yeah.
there happened to be two like little nodules in the pale moon that looked like eyes that were watching over the mountain. So when I saw that, I was like, no way. Like there's literally an eye right here, and then there's another eye right here, and then the mountain is in the middle. I'm like, that can't be coincidence. Like those are eyes looking over, like watching over the mountain.
That is so cool.
So I am
Man.
like, this is like it's Mati, like the I'm sure you've seen it in other cultures as well, like the
Hmm.
blue, they call it the evil eye. It
Yeah.
wards off the evil eye. And it's just like a little blue eye. A lot of people wear it in jewelry, on necklaces, or like decorative things. I think it's in a lot of like Turkish culture, Middle Eastern culture, and then
Yeah.
Greek culture as well. It's interpreted in so many different cultures, like the protective eye that's like watching over something.
That
So
is so cool. Man,
yeah.
that man, I didn't even see that. I saw there was like a color of white and gray in there. I didn't even bother to ask about that, but
Yeah.
holy
So you could
shit.
probably see pretty good
And that
there.
is so and that's like so well detailed too. I'm seeing I know it's just virtual, but oh,
Hmm.
man, that is an eye, Nicole. That's like I'm getting
Yeah,
goosebumps
it's like
seeing
two
that.
little eyes just looking over the
That's pretty
mountain.
awesome. Wow, Mati. All right.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was like, she has to name it. And I was looking like toward in like somewhere in the comments or in the description, it said no, Jackson Customs. Like, no, she has to name it. There has to be a name for this.
Yeah.
Mati. So that's really cool. Now I saw Mati on No Cover. So that No Cover appearance that you had just recently, that
Mhm.
experience, like, how did all that start? Did you feel any pressure at all while we were on the show? You know, what were your hopes going into this whole thing? For anyone who doesn't know, this is like a almost like a reality type of show, no cover, about I think the band moves on to the next song. It's just about just getting a band up to where they want to get, right?
Yeah, it's like a contest. It's kind of like The Voice, but for bands playing their original music, competing for a record deal and like I think a booking contract. It's like all sorts of stuff
Yeah, and
with for Sumerian Records. So
yeah,
yeah,
judges
that
like
was,
Alice Cooper and Lazy Hale.
yeah, the judges are
Tosin was there. Like, holy shit.
Tosin. Yeah, so that was the panel of judges. It was Tosin Abasi, Bishop Briggs, Lizzie Hale, Alice Cooper, and Gavin Rossdale.
Man,
So
was that kind of nerve wracking seeing just all them like sitting in a row, or just,
it was a little weird because the room
yeah,
is just like quiet, and then you just go up there and then you
yeah.
play one song, and then you're just like, all right, judge me, So I'd never done anything like that before. And we we got invited to be on the show because they wanted like an instrumental metal band. Probably because Tosin is on the show and
Yeah.
plays an instrumental metal band. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, initially, like, it's not something I would have ever thought to like sign up for on our own. So when we got the invitation to do it, I'm just like, oh, like, okay, well, we're invited, and
Hmm.
this would just be like a really good opportunity. It's not like we can play shows right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. This
When
was
was
filmed.
this? Oh yeah, yeah. When was the
This
shot?
was filmed in February of 2021.
Oh wow. Okay. I
Yeah.
thought this was
And it
something
was
that was just.
originally supposed to be in 2020. So they had to keep postponing it like month after month. And then finally it happened in February 2021. So the guys flew out to LA and they were there for like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 days or something. And we played the one song. We had no idea what was going to happen. We were just told like, oh yeah, you're going to be like on the first like episode or two. We didn't know like how, if we are going to like advance or really what the plan was. So we just kind of showed up and like played the song, and a lot of the judges kind of said the same thing in the sense that, oh, like, we hear like vocals over your stuff. I think you guys should put vocals on it. And we're like, well, we're an instrumental band. And
Hmm.
then, Ash from Sumerian was like, well, we already have two instrumental bands on our label. So we're not really sure like what we can do for you. So that's why we're kind of like, trying to give you this advice of like, oh, you should add vocals to your music. And then he just asked us, are you, have you ever been opposed to that? And we're like, no, like, we never, it's not that we were opposed to it. It's just that we started this as an instrumental project because the songs that we had already weren't tailored for vocals. They had a lot of like shredding on them, and the lead guitar was kind of like the main melody of the songs. So we kind of reevaluated after everything. They tried to set us up with someone else on another vocalist on the show.
Yeah, I saw that episode and I was like, huh, really? Like,
Yeah, that wasn't really happening.
yeah,
But after that, we're just kind of like, I can't remember the order of events. If right after that we were thinking like, okay, like maybe we should look for like a vocalist. And I think we were talking to a few people that were going to do it, but they were just being really flaky. And at that point, I'm just like, all right, like, what's it going to take for us to just get this done ourselves? I'm like, I know Chris sings. Like, he's already classically trained
yeah.
singer. He knows how to sing. He has a solo project that he sings over. So I'm like, okay, he's capable. I'm like, we just need, metal vocals too, because obviously we have kind of like these death metal riffs as well. And that would be weird to have singing over that. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just learn. I'll just learn how to scream. How hard could it be?
Yeah. And
And
you
it
nailed it,
was
by the way.
much harder than I thought. So, I hit up, Rasta from Decapitated because I knew he was doing vocal lessons and all that. And And I told him like, yo, like I got to record this single in like a couple months, I need your help. And he's like, oh, don't worry. Like I'm going to train you and like help you, get ready to record this. So I'm super lucky that like he made the time to just do like a few lessons with me and just get me, ready to track. And fast forward now, we're on our third single off the record with vocals from me and Chris. And personally, I feel like it's getting better like each time,
Yeah.
because even my band members are saying that they've heard my voice evolve in a year, when I'm just thinking like, shit, I'm still like a beginner at this. Like I just started doing this like a little over a year ago, and I'm still like shaping my voice, but now things are feeling a lot more effortless. And I feel like I've found like a couple voices that work for me. And it's just become a lot easier. Like I'm not struggling like I was before to complete lines and do a bunch of takes to like to get something that was usable. When I tracked vocals for the record, when I was out here last month, we were doing every song in like 1 to 2 takes. So I felt like, okay, I must have, like, I did something right. Like I was practicing a lot, and then everything is just sounding consistent now and like falling into place.
1 to 2 takes is pretty good, Nicole. I mean, if you're getting the song done in that many, and and you've been doing this for just maybe a little bit over a year, is
Yeah.
getting the harsh vocals out. And I remember there was a question on I don't know who, I think Ash asked you this, I can't remember, on No Cover, if it was something along the lines of if you're dead set on being an instrumental band, and your
Yeah.
answer was no. So, and there's a band out there. There's a band called Caspian. I don't know if you've heard of them. They have 5 albums. They're mostly an instrumental band, but their latest one, they added vocals to it.
Oh.
And and as I was hearing their previous albums after that, I was like, oh, they could have done it on the previous albums as well. So it's really cool to see the evolve, like how you guys have evolved Kallias into where you are now. And by the way, Kallias means beauty in Greek, if anyone who doesn't know. Now the Dark Machine, I'm going to get to that right now, because now is this the 3rd song off the upcoming record? The other 2 were Disembodied Existence.
Yeah,
Supermassive, yeah.
Supermassive and Disembodied
Yeah.
Existence.
And then this also is the follow-up to the 4th phase, which I freaking love that EP. I think
Yeah.
I mentioned this already. Now, the press release you sent me, Nicole, the first thing that said on that press release was formerly instrumental prog metal quartet. Your current vocal situation, would you say that's permanent? Like, is making vocals a permanent part of your sound now? Is that safe to say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. But that also doesn't mean that there might not be some longer instrumental sections, or,
Yeah.
an instrumental song or 2 on the record. But as far as like incorporating vocals for the majority of the stuff, yeah.
Now, I went back and heard the 4th phase. I loved it then. I still love it now. I love it when the sound feels fresh, even after a couple of years. I feel like that's a good formula. Again, I'm just a fan out there. But
Nice.
I feel like, now, I don't know what you can and cannot say about this, Nicole. Can these sets of songs, and I mean Dark Machine, Disembodied, and Supermassive, can this serve as a sneak peek into what's to come on the next Kallias album, or are we just barely scratching the surface here? Putting you on the spot, as if I haven't been putting you on the spot already on this podcast.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good sneak peek of what's to come, because I feel like those songs all kind of have something a little bit different. But there's going to be a lot more unexpected surprises
I
on the
love it,
album
because
too.
as far as like progressive death metal, technical aspects in there, I feel like you guys are providing a breath of fresh air into this genre, because there's so many bands coming into the scene. It gets a little convoluted in that room, but you
Yeah.
guys, I feel like you guys are actually standing out amongst those bands. And
Thank you.
as I was thinking about this, I had this discussion with a friend of mine the other day. The word gent, I'm thinking about that word, labeling that See, that's the thing. It's a bit like older than 10 years. I remember, like, how do you feel about that genre named gent? Because I remember when I first heard the song, I think most of us are on the same boat here, is Bleed from Meshuggah. Once that song dropped in 2008, I remember I heard this term like gent, like with DJENT. What the hell? And I would like look it up on like Reddit and like Facebook groups, and like, yeah, this is the new like genre. Like these kids like just like started like calling it that. And then Meshuggah, I remember Jens or Friedrich, whoever it was, they're like, we just want to make the music we want to make. I don't know anything about gent. You know, it was like even the bands had no idea. It's yeah. I want to know your take on this, Nicole, because I feel like you agree with me. Like it's a
Yeah.
controversial like genre, but a lot of people are like what? Do we really need to label it that? It's you know.
I think it's controversial because yes, someone decided to create a genre based off of one band. But at the same time,
So ridiculous.
it does sound ridiculous, but at the same time, where did death metal come from?
Mm-hmm.
It came from the band Death,
Yeah,
right? So
that's true.
we already did that. So I don't know why, like, I guess it's totally okay for that. But then when people started saying gent and I don't know, is the other one, I've heard the word like fall go around. I don't know if it's the same
That's
thing or if it's a different
I've
style
never seen. See,
of
that's new to
that.
me. I've never even heard of that
I've
name.
just seen those words, that lingo thrown around, and I'm just like, I can't keep up anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
they had these groups on like Facebook, like gent fans. I'm like, oh my god, stop
yeah,
it already.
yeah, I get it, and it does
Hmm.
derive from Meshuggah. I will never use that word to describe like any of our music, or even like describe other bands,
Yeah.
because I feel like it's kind of unoriginal to use that term. Like it's all metal at the end of the day, and then whatever like subgenres or categories or bands you're trying to describe your music as, because it's very natural for humans to want to familiarize something with something else, because it makes you feel like, oh yeah, it kind of sounds like this and with a little bit of that, and like it helps you to understand what you're listening to and sometimes describe it to someone
Hmm.
else who you want to understand what you're trying to show them, right? So I do feel that, um, but I also feel like that word gets thrown around and misconstrued as like, oh, you play an eight string, you must be like in
Yeah,
a gent
gent
band or
band.
something like
Hmm.
that. So you're just like, why even have an eight string? Because you're just playing that one string. And, and I've heard that before. And if anyone like has ever, left a snarky comment like that, or like, said it to my face or something, I'm like, well, actually, like, we use pretty much all eight strings in like every single song.
Yeah, listen to the songs that you guys do, and
And there's
it,
like clean guitar parts as well, so it's actually a lot more dynamic than like, you know, making that gent sound on one string. It's a little bit ignorant, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
gent sound.
So,
It's weird.
no,
It's
no
still weird to me
offense to
today.
anyone that
Of
feels
course.
comfortable and wants to like
Yeah, if you want to start
call
your
their
own group,
music
please
that.
go ahead, do that. No, I'm
That's
not. Yeah.
fine. You can describe your music however you want, but I guess I don't like other people who assume that that's what it is
Mm.
and that's what it sounds like, and that's the only way you're using this extended range instrument.
I feel like metal is a genre that only has that type of thing. Like I don't see it in country or rap or hip hop or it's like pop. It's like it's like what are the subgenres in there?
I don't know.
I've never
So
heard
many
anything like that.
subgenres. And I
And
feel like it's the same thing like with Justin. Like I feel like he hates the word tech. And like we've had these conversations together where
yeah,
like he talks about the word tech, and then I talk about like the word gent and like how we hate those words. And then I'm trying to understand, his point of view, where I'm like, but like your music is technical, and like the word tech doesn't come
mhm.
from like a band or anything. It's just like a term to describe, like it's like saying something, oh, we're like ambient metal or something. or like technical metal, right? Or
Yeah.
grind or something like that.
Experimental metal. That could mean
Experimental.
literally anything.
I know
Any
that
I
really
feel like
could.
any band could just come out and say we're an experimental band. It's like,
It could mean
oh, okay.
anything.
And then people act like, oh, okay, I get it. No, it's it's
Yeah.
not
No,
that simple.
it's funny. He's like, oh, it's just death metal. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not like, I don't know. It's not
Gotcha.
like deicide. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's a little bit more technical than
Yeah.
that. So you want to like really pinpoint it to to
Yeah.
like this specific genre. So, to each their own.
Yeah. I feel like we're getting more specific as the timeline rolls along, but it's just I feel like we're just old-fashioned metalheads here
Yeah.
having a
It's,
discussion.
like nothing's really like
Mhm.
original anymore. And like everything that we think is original, like derived from an idea that was
Yeah.
heard from something else or seen or experienced. It's not always like, oh, you're influenced by these bands that you listen to. Although I do think we're all kind of a product of our record collection, but it's also just like, it could be sounds that you hear in nature or experiences that you have that make you, feel a certain way and think of a certain sound or a tone or whatever.
Yeah.
The inspiration can come from so many different things.
Nicole, you can see the grin on my face because I'm thinking about that time when you said when when you first released Kallias music. I love this story, by the way. I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough. It's when fans would come in and tell you, "Oh, this sounds like Opeth." Like, they would just come back and repeatedly tell you, like, "Who the hell is Opeth?" Like, I don't. And then you went and then you listened. I don't know what song it
Oh,
was.
yeah, that
Yeah,
happened with my first instrumental band, Meridium.
yeah. See, that's so. I love that story. And then you went and listened to Opeth. You're like, "Holy shit, this is a
I'm like,
compliment," you
oh
know. And then
yeah, this is like my new favorite band. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I get it.
Is your favorite album still gosh dang it, you told me this, why am I
I don't
forgetting?
know if we can pick a
um
favorite album,
no,
but
you
Ghost
can't.
Reveries is definitely.
That's not what you said.
I
you
think
said
last
you
time,
said
I
you
think
said
last time I said, what did I say? What did I say? Like Watershed or
no,
something?
no, go further back. It was like, how, see what I'm saying though, it's like you
You
can't
can't
pick a,
really pick
yeah,
one.
yeah. And I really like, I really like Deliverance, whatever that album that's off of. I really love My Arms Your Earth. That's a great album too. That's like one
Yeah,
of the
it's
first
so hard
albums.
to just pick one. It just
Blackwater
depends
Park.
what kind of
You said
mood you're in. Like,
you said Blackwater Park. I remember that.
oh
And
yeah, I
yeah,
did. Yes,
and then
you're right.
I picked a whole different one, but then you're like, yeah,
I
it's either
thought you picked
this.
Ghost
I
Reveries,
picked Ghost Reveries, and then
and
you
then I said
picked
Blackwater
Blackwater
Park.
Park, and then obviously
Now I
there's.
don't know if I could choose between the two.
Can I ask you this? Do you listen to the later albums?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Mhm.
I do too. I know their sound has changed, but it's still open. And then I
I
feel like,
love it. It's just a different experience.
yeah, so yeah, and I love that story because you went and listened to Opeth because you've never heard of Opeth, and you're like, holy shit, this is amazing, and they became
Yeah,
your
I knew
favorite
that they
band.
were, but I just didn't
Yeah,
like, like who bands are for like the longest time, but you
yeah,
never actually like dive in and listen to
true.
their records. So I
And I
finally
absolutely
did, and
love
I'm like,
that.
okay, I guess I'm a late Opeth fan.
I think I listened to them about like 2008. That was around the time when Watershed came out,
Oh, okay.
and that's when I just like, holy shit, this is crazy. No one's doing it the way they're doing it, you know.
Hmm.
And but anyway, I just love that story, like Meridium, and then
Yes.
how you discovered. Now with this new record, Nicole, was this also done at Redshift, or because
Yeah, it's kind of a combination. It really is just like a hodgepodge because Zachy, like originally we started tracking everything at Redshifts with him, and then he switched studios, and now we're at Cinderella Man Studios,
Mhm.
which is where the remainder of the drums were recorded, and my vocals and Zachy's guitars. Everything else, I've just been sending DIs to Zachy.
Okay.
And same thing like with the bass, and Chris tracked his own vocals like at his house. I mean, he's an engineer too, so
Yeah.
he has like his own home studio, and the record is going to be mixed by Zach Oren at Castle Ultimate.
Very
So
cool.
he mixed this last single, The Dark Machine.
Yeah, and it's a thing of beauty. Now I mentioned I remember I told you that I was trying to make my way up there to see you guys. The reason why I can't is because obviously we have, I have family matters to take care of here, but I
Yeah.
was really doing my best to come see you guys because I really want to see you guys in person
Uh-huh.
performing live. I'm going to Oklahoma instead. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Oklahoma's so exciting. No one ever says that.
Oh, I was
I'm
like, for
my
like
brother lives
family
there,
stuff.
so yeah, my brother lives there, so we're gonna go out to Oklahoma for I
Okay.
think it's like
Nice.
next week we're gonna head out there. So that's why. So hopefully,
Nice.
down the line we can arrange something where either you guys come here, which I'll help you guys do that, or you're based in LA, right? I come to LA a
I
lot.
am.
So
Yeah.
LA is like my second home. I was there last year.
Oh,
I always come every year, but I'll reach out to you. Now,
yeah, definitely.
real quick, this song, The Dark Machine, I think I'm quoting you here. It's about winter strength and the commitment to in the Alpine. Now,
Mhm.
here's the thing. You mentioned you've done a lot of climbing, which I've seen in your stories and posts on social media. I want to know about this because the footage that I've seen of you climbing, it's so cinematic to me, so surreal. Like I've always wanted to do something like that. You're climbing these massive walls, like either they're glaciers or just a mountain. Like, tell me how you got into this, and what is your favorite spot you have climbed, Nicole? And what's your best climbing story? I think that I should like put myself on mute because I feel like there's a lot that you can add to this because this is a big part of who you are. It's also I feel like it's also a release for you as far as like
It
just
is. Yeah.
getting out there and just like doing what you want to do. Aside
Hmm.
from the music, aside from the personal life, I feel like that's also a segue for you to get away from everything.
Yeah, it totally is like a way for me to just completely disconnect and just be in the moment. And I think that's why I fell in love with it so much, is because, you're really like when you're up there in that vertical environment, you have to be 100% focused on like
Mhm.
what's in front of you and with as little error possible, right? Because it's
Yes.
like your life is on the line, and
Yeah.
you know how to use this equipment, but if you get kind of distracted, or you're fumbling around with stuff, or you're just like not confident, then there's a little bit of like risk involved, right? So I
Just a
started
little bit.
climbing, huh?
Just a little bit of risk.
Well, yeah, sometimes it's the risk is
Yeah.
greater, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's irrational fear at the same time, because you can fall and the rope will
Yeah.
catch you.
Like holy
You might
shit.
get a
Like
couple scrapes.
I think about that all the time. Like when I see you climb, like, oh my gosh. Like I like obviously you're posting the video, so that means you're alive. So
Yeah.
but it's just it's really cool like what you do, like as far as like I want to do that someday. I have no fear of heights, by the way. I've been
Oh,
sky
nice.
I've been
Yeah,
skydiving a
most
few
people
times.
do.
So
So that's the first
um
step. If you're not afraid of heights, then it'll probably be like a really cool experience. Otherwise, it could be like a nightmare.
yeah, so when I saw that about the meaning of the dark machine, the commitment in the Alpine, I feel like does that relate to what you're doing out there when you're climbing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that song particularly is about ice climbing, and just how like equally committing ice climbing can be.
Hmm.
Sometimes even more committing than rock climbing, because you're dealing with unstable conditions.
Yeah,
So it's like you need to know how to read those conditions, and then you need to know what to do. If those conditions happen to go against you.
yeah.
So,
That's
a lot of like disasters that happened, are things that we don't think of beforehand, and something that we may have not dealt with before. So we don't have the experience, right? So it has to like happen to you to realize, oh my God, if this happens again, now I know what to do. Right. So,
yeah.
I've definitely had a lot of those experiences in climbing, and I've been lucky enough to have a lot of mentors, with both rock climbing and ice climbing. And one of my biggest mentors and best partners ice climbing is one of my good friends, Matt Tuttle, from Salt Lake City, and we climb in Utah a lot together. Like we've gone to Cody, Wyoming, which in the song I actually reference, when I talk about the winter dance. I'm actually referencing the name of the ice climbing guidebook in Cody. So I'm kind of saying like, let's do the winter dance. And that's like one of the biggest areas in North America. Concentrated ice climbs is in Cody, and one of my favorite places to ice climb. So that kind of like hit home. And of course, the name of the song itself, "The Dark Machine," is a direct reference to the name of the ice axes that I use. The tools is what we call them.
Holy shit.
So it's
That's
called the Dark Machine. So they're the dark machines. So at the end of the song, the line I say to close everything out is like, call on your psych, reach for the sky, pull on the dark machines till the end of the line. And that's really like getting your sticks in and like pulling yourself up and getting to the end of that line. So it really just kind of came like full circle for me.
That's really cool, Nicole. Thanks for sharing all that. I mean,
Yeah.
I had no idea. I also think not too long ago, did you drop like a video of like of ice climbing recently where it was like a tutorial almost? I don't know if it was you.
Not a tutorial. No, I don't post any like tutorials or anything. Oh, you know what you might be thinking of? I did mentor a group of female ice climbers in
Yes,
Colorado. So I was lucky to have been called on
that's
that
what that was. Okay.
to mentor really awesome group of women who were aspiring ice climbers and just wanted to learn and do it for the first time. Some of them had never even climbed rock before, and they signed up for this trip, this adventure trip, to learn how to ice climb, and it's just a whole experience. And we made it like extremely safe. So we set up ropes at the top, so you already have a rope on you, at the
Yeah,
top. If you even go up like a few feet and you decide like, I don't want to do this anymore, you can literally let go and you will just be hanging in place.
man. See,
So
that's something I want to do. We should
yeah.
do an interview while doing ice climbing.
Oh
Like,
my
all right,
God. Yeah.
Nicole. So tell me about this climb. All right,
Just
we're at this elevation or something like that. Just an
just
idea.
GoPro it. Yeah.
Man, so I really love that. Yeah, sir, I was right. Yeah, I feel like I know more about you than you know more about yourself. So that's kind of
I'm
that's
like,
kind of
come on,
hilarious.
tutorial.
Like you did do that. I remember you did do that. So I think that's a big part of who you are. And as far as like ice climbing, and
Mhm.
if you don't know who the ice climbers are, you and Justin should dress up as them for next Halloween.
Oh my God.
That would be so
Funny.
cool.
Yeah, I don't think
That would
Justin
be
will be ice climbing. He is afraid of heights, but
okay.
he's made some milestones, and I've gotten him to rock climb like a few routes with me, where like he got up pretty high and conquered that fear. So
Mhm.
so that was cool to see him like go out of his comfort zone and even just try to do
Yeah.
that.
Now, Nicole, we're approaching the last part of our podcast. I have a little surprise for you at the end, so I'm not going to tell you what it is
Okay.
yet. But I know we've covered a good amount of ground on this awesome
Mhm.
conversation. Always great to have you on here. I know the discussions we've had will always be
Uh-huh.
great, whether it's on social media or podcast in person. From everything we discussed, from when we first met, your upbringings, the touring, playing with different bands, your relationship with your bandmates and Justin, your Jackson endorsement, the pandemic. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm always excited to see where you go from one point to the next, Nicole. Almost like a proud moment for me, because seeing someone like you from where you started to where you are now, there is a level of inspiration here, and I take that with a lot of gratitude, getting the chance to speak with awesome people like you. I've spoken to so many amazing guests on my own show, and it's you're no stranger to that. It's really cool to see that. And there's definitely an undying passion for what you do. And from what I've seen from experiences, you've experienced plenty already in your career, and then some. Here we are, new chapter with Kallias. I feel like, a new album coming up. As a musician, or hell, as a human being, do you ever just stop for a moment? Maybe you can take this moment to take a look back at how far you've come.
That is a good question. And like I really do appreciate, how you've been following us and my work in general. Like I feel honored because, sometimes I feel like, oh, little old me, like and I think now that you bring it up, I feel like I haven't really taken enough time to reflect on like how far I've come. I think because I constantly feel uncomfortable
Hmm.
because I don't feel like I'm at where I want to be. So, having that constant discomfort is kind of like the fire that's under my ass telling me that, like, you can do better and you have to keep going and all that. And I know, like, sometimes that can kind of be a bad thing, because it's very I guess unrestful feeling. Like, I feel like I don't rest enough for it, and my brain is just constantly running and thinking of, like, oh, what can I be doing right now? And the result of that is that I feel like I've had really no days off besides when I'm climbing. And that's why I love climbing, is because I don't think about anything that I have to be, oh my God, I have to do this when I get home. Like,
Hmm.
or I wonder what's going on with this, with the band, or like what they're doing or whatever. It's like I can actually like really disconnect in like an outside environment. But other than that, it's just like I feel like every waking moment there's just like something that I could be doing, whether it's writing or promoting my music, or making a piece of content, and just kind of doing everything that I possibly can, knowing that I tried everything. Otherwise I feel like, oh, if I don't give this like my best effort all the time, like, who cares? And I feel like I should probably just care more myself, like, okay, like I'm doing all right, like I'm doing everything I can.
Hmm.
But I'm glad you asked that, because that's something like I don't think about too much,
I
how
feel,
far I've come.
yeah, I feel it's important to, I get moments throughout, especially in the last year, where I listen, I love what I do, and it's great. I learn as much as about myself as much as I learn about you, my guests on my show, which is great. It's a privilege, but it's like I understand what you feel. There is that fire under my ass too. It's like you have to keep going. If you stop for 1 minute, it kind of blocks out everything that you built. It doesn't, virtually, because you built all this momentum. It's not really doing anything, but mentally it's like you want to keep that going. But it's like I get this moment sometimes where it's just like I just want to push everything, like literally everything, like away, and just not do anything. Kind of just take the moment to just, like, does that make sense? Like, it's like,
It
so
does.
last year I did some climbing last year. Now that you're reminding me,
Oh,
I climbed Gloss Mountain. It's out in West Oklahoma. It's middle of nowhere, and I remember getting up there at the very top, and you get that exhilarated feeling, like when you're at the top of a peak, or I'm sure you've had this when you reach the top of something,
mhm.
whether it's an obstacle or whatever it is you're working on, music, um, and you get there, and you get this sense of just like this peace. You don't know how long you'll get it, but it's there. And I remember there was another climber that reached the peak same time I did, and he was walking on. He had like walkers with him, and he was maybe late 30s. I'm 33, so he's like in his late 30s. He had uh I think he had triple bypass surgery, and he was telling
Wow.
us how he almost died, and his wife like pushed him to get to where he is right now, and he did this climb all by himself. And that really put things in perspective. Like, I'm not making, like, you can't make this stuff up. I get there on top of the peak, and that guy's like right there. Such a great guy. I don't know, I forgot his name, but he was telling me about that story. But like moments like that, like I feel like it's also important to push everything away, take a moment to kind of just reevaluate yourself into what you do, and then
Mhm.
go back into it with a refocused attitude.
Yeah,
But I hope you
it's
get
really
the
good
chance to do that.
advice.
Yeah. I'm no one to give advice, but it's just
Yeah.
from my experience, like from what you've experienced. Take
Mhm.
that moment, whether it's today in the studio. I know the tour technically doesn't start today, but it's like, you're about to go and grab some coffee after this. Take that moment when you walk over to that hipster shop. Think about,
Yeah.
and I'll send you that video. Watch that video for a moment if you get a chance. It's like a 2-minute video. It's a comedy, but it's really
Yeah.
funny. But take that moment to just you know, and taking the, you know, the, what is it, the New York or New Jersey air, wherever you're at. It's not the best of air, but you know, it's just it's I've lived in New York, so I understand what
Not that, mountain air, but
not that mountain air, not that mountain crisp air that you get up at top of the Alpine, but
yeah.
it's little moments here and there. I think it's important to take it all in, and just remember that you are doing what you're doing because you want to do it. There's a passion for what you do.
Yeah.
You share it with those other 3 members. Don't forget that. You know, they're there because they're there to also help support you, you know. So I mentioned this is therapeutic, right? So this
I know. I'm so glad. I feel like I needed this.
Yeah, you know, and I'm glad we finally did this after almost 2 years. Let's, you know, I'm hoping we can do this again sooner. But we're gonna end things on this segment that I didn't do before. It's gonna be the fun part. I feel like we've been serious. Let's tone it down. I'm gonna do something here called the lightning round. I'm gonna go down the list. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna with no coffee. Exactly. So your answers may be different an hour from now, which is great. Some of them are simple. Some of them are just downright ridiculous. Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna ask you a question. You just answer one or the other. All right. We got past the OPEC question, so you don't have to worry about that. All right. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. This is so ridiculous. All right. Red or blue?
Blue.
Vegan or meat?
Vegan.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Okay. Oh, you threw a 180 there. All right. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings?
I haven't watched either.
All right.
Vikings.
Oh, hey, that's a good show too. That's a great show. I need to pull that up next time. All right. Greek food or Italian food?
Greek.
That's a no-brainer. Bungee jump or skydive?
Skydive.
Country or hip hop?
Country.
If you were to spend one day in the world of the last show you watched, where would you be and would you survive? I feel like Vikings is the answer, right? Was that the last show you watched?
It was Last Kingdom, so it would be in the UK. Yep.
Yeah, you would survive one day, right? That'd be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Halloween or Christmas?
Halloween.
All right. Hell yeah. Chicago or New York?
New York.
Black Dream or Dark Machine?
Dark Machine.
All right. Yeah. Okay. That's a good one. All right. These get ridiculous as we go down. All right. Name one of the 7 dwarfs.
Sleepy.
I was gonna say Sleepy too. That was the first thing I was thinking.
I'm like, I got like no sleep yesterday, so I'm like, that's the first one.
Yeah, I'm on like 3 hours of sleep, so that's
that was me the other day. I had 3 hours of sleep and then flew here and then had rehearsal.
Jeez, so I can't remember the last time I actually even had more than 5 hours, honestly.
Oh
so
my God.
See, I gotta give myself my own advice. All right, would you rather be able to move things with your mind or know the future?
Move things with my mind, I guess.
Yeah, I know the future. It would freak me the hell out. All right. If Voldemort offered to give you a hug, would you accept?
What? Who?
Voldemort from Harry Potter.
Oh, see, I didn't see those movies either.
Oh no. Okay.
I think no, this ties into the dwarfs thing because I think I watched one on my way back from a flight from Greece. And I took like 3 naps in it. Oh, you would have a really good conversation with Justin because he loves he's obsessed with Star Wars, Lord of the Rings,
Harry Potter,
Harry Potter, all of that. Yeah.
Justin,
I love Star Wars too though.
Yeah, Justin, you got to make Nicole sit down and watch all these movies with her. So I'm a late Harry Potter bloomer. I didn't watch all the movies until maybe a couple of years ago. So I watched them I think there's like 7 movies. I watched them all at once.
Okay.
I mean, I'm still a bigger Star Wars fan, but maybe I would have appreciated Harry Potter more if I watched the movies at the time they were out. But I wasn't that big of a nerd for Harry Potter. But anyway, Voldemort, he's the name he's the, what do they call him? They say the one with no name or something like that. Like you're not supposed to say his name because it's like forbidden. So anyway, we'll come back to that question next time. All right. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Oh, talk to animals for sure.
Oh, okay. I've had people who say, well, I can talk to
I don't
my
want
dog.
to talk to more people. Like
I can talk to my dog, so I guess I speak every language of the world. Yeah, exactly.
God.
Talk to animals. Yeah, why wouldn't you want to know what a
I probably wouldn't even hang out with people anymore at
what
that point.
yeah, why wouldn't you want to know what a porcupine is doing on like a on a river in one day on a Wednesday? That's
Yeah.
that's
I love animals. So that would be like a dream. Like if you could communicate with them like that.
last one. There's a time machine in front of you, Nicole. It says the destination is the first concert you've ever attended. Where are you? And what do you remember the most about this day? And do you take the trip?
Yeah, it was actually Metallica when I was
Oh,
15.
dude, that's awesome.
That was my first real concert.
How long ago was that?
Um, 20 years ago.
Do you still keep like the ticket stub and like the pictures from that day? No.
No,
Oh yeah,
I
that's right. Because you don't keep that stuff.
I don't collect things. Yeah.
Yeah, my
It's all
first
here.
so my first concert ever was actually Dimebag, because obviously Pantera is a huge.
Oh,
So
I
it was
never got to see
so
Pantera.
so here's the crazy thing. I was that your age too? Was I also 15? It was 2004. I was in it was a sophomore year, and I saw Dimebag 2 months before he got shot on stage.
Oh,
October, and that was when with him and Vinny, that was when Damage Plan was a thing. Damage Plan, they were a huge band at that time, obviously. But yeah, that was my first concert. That was a weird show because you had a band like Damage Plan, but then you had like the Used, and then you had Switchfoot, and then Velvet Revolver, and then Drowning Pool, and Bowling for Soup, which I found out like 2 days later. My mom was babysitting the lead singer's kid for Bowling for Soup that day. She's like, "Hey, do you know Bowling for Soup?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just," because she ran a daycare at that time, and obviously they were in town. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But that's pretty rad, man. Metallica is your first show. I think that's as good as it gets. I feel like. Did you go by yourself or did you? I went by myself. My parents just dropped
no,
me off.
I went with like my parents were really strict growing up. Very typical Greek dad, and he used to be
Mhm.
military police, so that'll
Oh
give you
wow.
into like me growing up. But yeah, I went with one of my bandmate from my first band and his parents. So that's why I was able to go to that show.
Man, so I went by myself. My parents just dropped me off, and I get there, right? And there were like people I went to high school with. They saw me. They're like, "Whoa, Sonny, I didn't know you listen to metal." I went by myself, and almost everyone in high school. And then the next day, I show up in school, and everybody was like giving me high fives. Dude, it was so good to see you at that show. I didn't even listen to metal. They thought I listened to like country or some shit. And
Weird.
which no,
Yeah.
I'm not knocking country, but it was just like, really?
It's
Like,
so random.
I mean, my hair was like this length, like in high school. It wasn't this long, but it was like this length. I was starting to grow out my hair at that time,
Yeah.
but I didn't like really country. But anyway, it was really cool. But that really opened up a lot of, in my first concert ever. And I think I still have the ticket stuff from that day. It was called Freakers Ball. That was the name of the show.
Wow.
And they had like multiple stages. Skindred, that was a band that was there too. I forgot.
Oh, wow.
Skindred. I think they're like coming back in it. But anyway, first
And you've
show.
been in Texas your whole life?
Yeah, I lived in LA too for 3 years, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In Fullerton when I did film school out there. I don't know if you knew that. But from like
Oh, no.
2013 to 2015. Yeah, that was a time. That was a weird time in my life because I dropped out of college. I quit my job and I just went to LA with like $2,000 and
Nice.
that's like I would never, if it wasn't for film school, I'm telling you right now, I would not be sitting here today with you because
Awesome.
crazy thing is I did a film with there was a girl, her name is Danielle Hodges. Shout out to her because her husband and me started IUF. So that's how we got connected. So I did a film with her and then she introduced me to her husband in Texas and then we started this music publication together. So
That's so
yeah,
awesome.
so I go to
Yeah.
so I go to California every year. So last year I was in Calabasas. My friend was living out there and I stayed with her
Oh,
for the duration I was there. But next time I'm in your neck of the woods,
yeah,
I will.
definitely let me know. I'm in
Yeah.
Anaheim Hills.
Oh, dude, I in Fullerton and Anaheim are like maybe 20 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so you live next to Disney World. Oh, sorry, Disneyland. Yeah, and you do
Pretty,
you hear
yeah, pretty much.
so do
Yeah.
you hear the fireworks every night? Are you that close?
Well, we're up in Anaheim Hills, so you can actually like kind of like see them from a distance.
Yeah.
but yeah, we're like up on a hill.
Dude, I'm surprised we still haven't met in person. So let's stay in
I
touch, all right?
know. Yeah,
Man,
definitely.
so this has been great. Nicole, I'll let you go here. I'll let you get your coffee. I gotta drop my car off at the shop because I forgot an appointment coming up.
Thank
But
you
this
so much for having me. I'm so glad
no,
we did this.
thank you. By the way, do you want me to, if you want, I can send you this entire recording over to you right now. So you can have it if you want to edit yourself. We'll publish it
Yeah.
sometime at some point this week. And just like before, we're gonna have a really cool render that Corey's gonna make for you, and I can send it over to you.
Oh,
And you can
cool.
share it
Okay.
with all your socials. It's gonna look really
Yeah.
badass. So um
Awesome. Yeah. If you have like a specific one that you want to make and have me
mhm.
share, do you normally post like in reel format?
We post no. I'll have to get with Corey though. We what we do is we take like a, you know how sometimes you can take like a 2 minute segment and put it
Yeah.
on like a wavelength. That's what we do, but we have our own style to it. So and then I send it over to you and you can just share it. We do it in like an Instagram format so it can fit in
Oh,
the
like a
window.
square?
Yeah, yeah. But what
Okay.
I'll do, I'll just send you this video so you can have something to share while until that episode drops. It's gonna drop sometime this week. So
Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool.
Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, I'll plan like whenever like I guess after you release it, like I'll plan my post.
Okay.
And then I switched over everything to real format, so 1080 by 1920.
Okay,
Just
got
because
it.
like it gets the most views and engagement
Man,
rather than
you need
posting.
to educate me more on this stuff because I just send everything off to Corey and he does because I do so much other stuff on my end because I also do photography and coordination with like tour managers and stuff like that to set up interviews with them in person. So
Yeah, that's what I
yeah.
do for a living. Like I'm in marketing, like social media marketing, and I do videography and stuff for actually a film school, like a film and
What the
recording school.
heck?
So
Man,
yeah,
we need
that's
a
all I do is like content, like strategy and format and all that. So I
oh
like
my gosh.
study this
Okay.
shit.
Um okay, then I will probably be reaching out to you a lot more than I didn't know you do that. So that's
Yeah, let me know if
uh,
you need tips.
oh, dude, of course, of course. I would love to work with you. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Yeah, let me get with Corey. And then I'll just email this entire video to you now. That way you have it. And if you want to share snippets from it, you can. Feel free.
Yeah,
Um,
you're gonna put it like on a Google Drive or something.
yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Then I
I'll
can
just
send
let you know
it.
which it'll come from my personal email, not from the interview under fire email, and then
Yeah,
it's gonna
yeah.
so this has been great. So I
Cool.
feel like we need our own podcast at this point. What do you think, right?
Aw, yeah.
But everyone who is listening, this is the amazingly talented Nicole Papastavrou. Kallias. Give them a follow on all their socials. The Dark Machine is out now. Pick up the fourth phase. It already dropped a couple years ago. That is a banger of an EP, and I can't wait to hear more stuff. I'm sure it's gonna be exciting. I can't wait. I feel like I don't want to like break the I don't know what you can I cannot say. Like it's like I hope we hear that this year because I'm so looking forward to new material from you guys. So as far as
Yeah.
like, yeah,
I
and
hope
remember,
hopefully.
I know it's like stressful, but it's like just remember you love what you do. That's an important thing
Mhm.
in all this. So, and you have a fan here. I will always be your biggest supporter. So you just let me know
So
if you ever
much.
need help from us. We can help as well. So, um,
Yeah, let's get us to Texas.
yeah,
Let's
definitely.
keep that conversation going.
Yeah, and
That'd be awesome.
and don't forget you can listen to this podcast on all the major podcast streams out there. Nicole, I'll let you go here. Have a great day.
You too.
Take time with that coffee. Get like
I
the
will.
extra espresso shots. I know I get like 3 when I go in, but
Oh my God.
and have a great tour by the way. All right,
Yes,
leading
I
up to the tour
will.
dates, and just make
Excited.
sure I can't wait to see the footage from the tour.
Awesome.
So
I will be live streaming it on my Twitch actually.
I'm gonna create a Twitch account. All right.
Yep.
And you'll be the first person I follow. And
Yes.
and I will be DMing you if I need like tips and tricks on how to get around that. Because
Hell
I know
yeah.
it's gonna be a lot of navigation that I probably will need help with. So
Yep.
just be ready for that. So if I need help,
All right.
I'm gonna be on your doorstep. So all right, Nicole, much love. Thank you again from the bottom of my
Thank
heart.
you.
It's
Thank
always
you.
so great. So glad that I'm honored to know you. It's that's another thing that I want to point out.
Oh, I feel the
And
same way. I'm so thankful to be on your show.
yeah,
Seriously.
and much love to you, Justin, your bandmates, Zachy, JP and Chris, nothing but love for you guys going forward. Have a great tour, like I said, and I'll see you guys down the road. Okay.
All right. So we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Stay in touch. I'll send you this right now so you can just share it. All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review, as that helps us tremendously. If you'd like to check out more, visit www.interviewunderfire.com or our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And finally, we want to thank you all for the support you've been giving us. Keep it burning.